Every single day, you handle money, paying bills, counting change, swiping cards. But have you ever considered that these ordinary moments might actually be powerful opportunities to transform your financial reality? Has this ever happened to you? You receive your paycheck with momentary joy, only to feel that familiar knot of anxiety as you think about the bills waiting to be paid. I'm going to share something profound with you today that Joseph Murphy discovered after decades of studying the hidden laws of prosperity. Money is not merely paper or metal. It's a living energy that responds to how you address it. That's right, money is actually listening to you. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract wealth while others struggle no matter how hard they work? What if I told you that the difference might be in the words you whisper each time you touch money? When you touch money with fear, muttering, "There's never enough," or "This won't last long," you're unknowingly commanding your financial reality. The universe is faithfully returning exactly what you're declaring. Think about it. How many times have you handed over money while thinking, "This is painful," or "I hate seeing it go"? These aren't just casual thoughts, they're powerful invocations. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely transform your relationship with money. The secret lies in understanding the extraordinary power of two simple words, I. In. These two words represent the most powerful creative force in the universe. When you declare, "I am broke," or "I am struggling financially," you're not just describing your situation. You're actually issuing a command to the creative forces of the universe. Your "I am" statements are spiritual blueprints that your reality must follow. The tragedy is that most people use this power unconsciously, attaching negative words after "I am," and then wondering why they can't escape financial struggle. Your careless phrases about money have been manifesting lack, but today, you'll learn the exact words to say that will create abundance instead. What if you could transform your financial future with a simple ritual that takes just seconds each day? What if the solution to financial freedom isn't working harder, but speaking differently? The ancient wisdom I'm about to share has helped countless individuals break free from scarcity and step into abundance. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now imagine holding a bill in your hand, but instead of feeling that familiar dread, you feel a surge of gratitude and certainty. Imagine knowing exactly what to say in that moment to transform that simple transaction into a powerful money multiplier. If you found value in these prosperity principles, hit that subscribe button now and join our community of conscious wealth creators. Let me share with you something truly transformative. Think about the last time you held money in your hands. What was the feeling that washed over you? For many of us, it's a subtle anxiety, a quiet voice whispering, "This won't last," or "It's never enough." This hidden dialogue creates a painful cycle that most people never recognize. I've watched countless individuals struggle with money for years, only to discover their relationship with wealth was poisoned at the most fundamental level, in those brief, seemingly insignificant moments when they physically interact with money. The revelation that changed everything for them was understanding that saying "I can't afford it" isn't merely describing a situation, it's actually creating one. This mindset shift is the gateway to financial freedom that few ever discover. Money responds to your energy in ways most financial advisors never discuss. The journey toward abundance begins not with investment strategies or budgeting techniques, but with a profound inner transformation in how you speak to money itself. Think of it this way: money isn't just currency. It's a mirror reflecting back your deepest beliefs. When you call money scarce in your mind, that scarcity materializes in your bank account. This isn't mystical thinking. It's the practical application of the law of assumption, where your dominant thoughts become your dominant reality. Joseph Murphy discovered this hidden truth after decades of working with both wealthy and struggling individuals. The decisive factor wasn't intelligence or opportunity, it was the unconscious dialogue they maintained with money. Those who prospered had learned, often accidentally, to invoke abundance rather than lack in these everyday moments. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing something profound about the subconscious mind. Your inner conversations carry tremendous creative power. When you handle money while mentally declaring, "This is hard to come by," or "I never have enough," you're literally instructing the universe to create more of that experience for you. The subconscious mind doesn't analyze these statements. It simply accepts them as commands to be fulfilled. The remarkable insight here is that this same mechanism works just as powerfully in reverse. By consciously changing the words you speak when touching money, you initiate a cascade of positive changes in your financial reality. This isn't wishful thinking. It's reprogramming the very foundation of your relationship with wealth. Imagine what might happen if you began treating every financial transaction as a sacred moment, an opportunity to declare abundance instead of lack. The impact of this simple shift ripples through every aspect of your financial life, creating openings for prosperity that were previously invisible. Have you noticed how money seems to flow effortlessly to certain people? It's as if they're operating under different laws of physics. In truth, they've mastered this fundamental principle, whether consciously or not. Right, I see the pattern in the comments, if you're beginning to recognize how this might be playing out in your own life. So what exactly should you say when you touch money? This is the revelation that transformed countless lives in Joseph Murphy's practice. It's remarkably simple yet profoundly powerful. Whenever your hand connects with money, whether receiving change, paying a bill, or checking your wallet, silently affirm, "I am rich, I am supplied, this multiplies." That's it. These words might seem ordinary, but they carry extraordinary power because they align with the fundamental laws of manifestation. The brilliance behind this practice lies in understanding that your inner speech is never idle. Every word you speak internally carries creative force. When you declare abundance while physically connecting with money, you're creating a powerful circuit that transforms your financial reality at its source. This isn't surface-level positive thinking. It's a fundamental realignment of your relationship with wealth at the deepest level. Think about the implications of this revelation. The facts of your current financial situation aren't fixed truths. They're merely shadows of your previous thoughts and words. By changing the words you speak now, you begin reshaping the facts that will manifest tomorrow. This mindset shift represents one of the most powerful breakthroughs on anyone's journey toward financial freedom. Now, let's explore something even more profound. Have you ever considered that each time you handle money, you're engaging in a form of prayer? Most people don't realize that touching money is a sacred act, an invocation that sets creative forces in motion. Your fingertips connecting with currency creates an energetic circuit that either amplifies abundance or reinforces lack, depending entirely on your inner dialogue. This insight transforms ordinary transactions into extraordinary opportunities. The checkout line becomes your altar. The ATM becomes your temple. Your wallet becomes a sacred space where prosperity is either summoned or repelled based on the quality of your thoughts. Most people unwittingly use these moments to reinforce financial struggle, muttering internal complaints about prices or expressing subtle resentment as money leaves their possession. Behind the scenes of financial mastery lies this hidden truth. Every financial interaction is charged with creative potential. When you grasp this principle, you'll never again treat money casually. You'll recognize each touch as an opportunity to reprogram your prosperity consciousness at the most fundamental level. The decision to change your inner dialogue represents a profound turning point in your relationship with abundance. The most remarkable aspect of this practice is its simplicity. No complex rituals, no hours of meditation, just a moment of conscious awareness each time you connect with currency. Yet this simple shift creates ripple effects that eventually transform your entire financial ecosystem. The impact extends far beyond your bank account, reshaping your confidence, opportunities, and sense of possibility. If you've experienced moments where you felt a flash of anxiety when paying for something, type "I'm ready to transform" in the comments. Acknowledging this is the first step toward financial liberation. Let's consider something most people don't realize. They've been calling money by the wrong name their entire lives. This isn't just semantics. It's a fundamental blueprint that shapes your financial reality. When you silently label money as scarce, not enough, hard to keep, or quick to vanish, you're not merely describing your perception, you're issuing powerful commands to the universe about how money should behave in your life. Think about the hidden patterns governing your relationship with wealth. Money is remarkably obedient to the names you give it, faithfully manifesting exactly what you've declared. This isn't mystical thinking, it's a practical principle that operates with mathematical precision. Your subconscious accepts these negative labels as instructions, then diligently arranges circumstances to validate those beliefs. This revelation offers a profound opportunity for personal transformation once you recognize it. The journey toward financial freedom begins with this mindset shift, becoming conscious of the names you've been calling money and deliberately choosing different ones. Behind every financial struggle lies this hidden mechanism that few ever discover. The breakthrough comes when you realize you've been unknowingly programming lack through your unconscious dialogue with money. Now, let's examine what's really happening during financial transactions. When you pay a bill with dread or anxiety, the paper exchange isn't the true transaction at all. It's merely the visible portion of a much deeper energy exchange. The real transaction is happening on an invisible level. It's the feeling and inner speech that accompanies the physical act. Don't miss out on more powerful financial wisdom. Subscribe now and transform your relationship with money for good. This revelation completely reframes how you approach everyday financial interactions. That knot in your stomach when bills arrive, that sigh when you check your bank balance, these emotional responses are actually the decisive factors determining your prosperity. Your emotional signature becomes the authentic currency of exchange, far more powerful than the dollars and cents changing hands. The authentic wealth code lies in understanding this principle. The emotional content of your financial transactions determines what returns to you. When you hand over money while feeling lack, you're creating a vacuum that pulls more lack toward you. Conversely, when you conduct transactions with a sense of abundance and gratitude, you initiate a completely different energetic cycle. This insight illuminates why two people can earn identical incomes yet experience radically different financial realities. One feels wealthy regardless of the numbers, while the other feels perpetually insufficient despite identical resources. The difference isn't in their accounting, it's in the invisible transaction occurring within their consciousness during every monetary exchange. If you've noticed yourself feeling that familiar contraction when parting with money, type "I'm changing my transaction energy" in the comments. Naming this pattern is the first step to breaking free from it. So how do we reverse this pattern and create a completely different financial outcome? The answer lies in deliberately changing your inner dialogue when handling money. This shift in consciousness represents one of the most powerful psychological levers available to anyone seeking financial transformation. Instead of touching money with fear, touch it with gratitude. Instead of broadcasting scarcity, intentionally emanate abundance. The practical application is beautifully simple. When paying bills, instead of thinking, "There goes my money," affirm, "I am grateful to have the resources to pay this bill. This money returns to me multiplied." When receiving money, rather than thinking, "This isn't enough," declare, "I am supplied. This is evidence of the abundance flowing to me continuously." These aren't just positive affirmations. They're precise recalibrations of your energetic relationship with wealth. What makes this practice so powerful is that you're aligning your words with universal principles that govern prosperity. When you declare, "I am free" or "I am rich," while physically connecting with money, you're not just making empty statements. You're invoking a creative principle that the universe must respond to. These declarations carry within them the seed of their own fulfillment when spoken with genuine feeling. This insight illuminates the genuine purpose of money in your life journey. What most people fail to recognize is that money isn't merely currency. It's actually seed with unlimited potential for growth. The world sees only paper and metal, missing entirely the metaphysical reality behind physical currency. Every dollar that passes through your hands contains within it the potential to multiply based entirely on the soil of your words and emotions. Think about what happens when you plant actual seeds in different types of soil. In rich, nutrient-dense soil, seeds flourish and produce abundant harvests. In poor, depleted soil, those same seeds struggle to survive. Your words function exactly like soil for the money seeds passing through your life. When you declare abundance while touching money, you're creating the optimal conditions for those seeds to grow into financial prosperity. This perspective completely transforms how you view everyday financial transactions. That $5 bill isn't just currency, it's a seed carrying unlimited potential. The check you receive isn't just payment, it's a living symbol of abundance seeking to multiply. Once you grasp this principle, you'll never again casually handle money without conscious awareness of the creative potential in that moment. The revelation here is that you've always been planting financial seeds, but perhaps in soil contaminated with fear, doubt, and scarcity consciousness. The quantum shift occurs when you deliberately begin preparing new soil through your conscious declarations of abundance. This represents one of the most profound mindset evolutions possible on your prosperity journey. Have you noticed how financial breakthroughs often seem to come from unexpected directions once you shift your consciousness? If you're beginning to understand how your words create your financial reality, type "I'm planting prosperity seeds" in the comments. Let me share a powerful story from Joseph Murphy's work that perfectly illustrates this principle in action. He once worked with a man who came to him utterly frustrated, saying, "No matter what I do, money slips through my fingers like water." This man had tried everything, budgeting, investing, increasing his income, yet found himself perpetually struggling. When Murphy asked him a simple question, "What do you say to yourself when money is in your hand?" The revelation was immediate. The man confessed that he always muttered, "It won't last long," whenever he handled money. This moment of clarity revealed the hidden mechanism behind his persistent financial struggles. The man wasn't experiencing bad luck or economic challenges. He was literally commanding money to leave him through his unconscious decree. Murphy gave him one instruction: change his inner dialogue to "Money multiplies in my hands" whenever touching currency. The transformation was remarkable. Within weeks, this man's entire financial landscape shifted. Opportunities emerged, unexpected income arrived, and money began to accumulate rather than dissipate. This authentic journey of transformation shows how subtle shifts in consciousness create massive shifts in reality. The remarkable aspect wasn't that some external force suddenly favored him. Rather, he simply stopped issuing negative commands to the universe about his relationship with money. This case study reveals the invisible architecture behind financial prosperity that most conventional advice completely overlooks. This brings us to a profound revelation that can revolutionize your financial mindset. Every time you handle money, you're making a powerful decree. Whether spoken aloud or whispered internally, these declarations are shaping your financial destiny with precision. Even your silence carries profound meaning to your subconscious mind, which interprets your emotional state as instructions about how money should behave in your life. The decision point we all face in this moment is crystal clear. Will you continue naming money with fear, or will you begin naming it with faith? This choice represents one of the most consequential crossroads on your path to prosperity. Most people remain trapped in financial struggle not because of external circumstances, but because they're unknowingly decreeing lack through their habitual inner dialogue with money. What makes this revelation so empowering is its simplicity. You don't need to overhaul your entire financial strategy. You simply need to become conscious of what you're decreeing each time you interact with money. Behind the scenes of every transaction is this invisible dialogue that's been running on autopilot, perhaps for your entire life. Bringing awareness to these unconscious patterns creates the space for profound change. The incredible truth is that your financial reality isn't fixed. It's fluid, responsive, and eager to align with your conscious declarations. Your relationship with money represents one of the most powerful mirrors reflecting your inner world. As you begin shifting these declarations, you'll notice subtle changes that eventually cascade into complete financial transformation. If you've caught yourself making negative comments about money leaving your possession, type "I decree abundance now" in the comments. Acknowledging this pattern is the first step toward changing it. Now let's challenge one of the most pervasive misconceptions about money in our society. The conventional wisdom tells us that money is just lifeless paper and metal, deaf, dumb, and blind to our attitudes toward it. Financial experts insist that currency is merely a neutral medium of exchange, with no inherent connection to our thoughts about it. But this perspective misses an extraordinary revelation that changes everything. In reality, money functions as a faithful servant that responds with remarkable precision to the names you give it. This isn't mystical thinking. It's a practical principle that operates in your financial life, whether you recognize it or not. When you call money lack, it obediently flees from your experience. When you name it abundance, it multiplies with equal faithfulness. This relationship between your consciousness and your currency reveals the hidden dimension of wealth that traditional financial education completely overlooks. The breakthrough in your prosperity journey occurs when you realize that money isn't inert. It's incredibly responsive to your energy signature. This mindset evolution represents one of the most profound shifts possible in your relationship with wealth. Behind every financial miracle lies this simple truth. Money responds to how you name it, not just how you manage it. Let's explore something even more fundamental: the habit of financial fear that most people have developed unconsciously. Have you noticed the subtle anxiety that arises when bills arrive in your mailbox? That quiet dread when checking your account balance? Those persistent whispers of "it will never be enough" that echo in your mind? These reactions aren't random or inconsequential. They're deeply ingrained patterns that function as powerful decrees. What most don't realize is that these habitual fear responses create an energetic blueprint that shapes your financial Reality with mathematical precision. These aren't harmless thoughts. They're potent commands that your subconscious mind faithfully executes. Each anxious moment when handling money becomes a powerful instruction to the universe about how wealth should behave in your life. This revelation illuminates why traditional financial advice often fails to create lasting change. You can follow every budgeting strategy and investment technique, but if your underlying energy pattern remains rooted in fear, your financial reality will continue reflecting that fear. The authentic transformation begins when you recognize these habitual patterns and consciously choose different responses. The good news is that these fear-based habits weren't installed overnight, and they don't require years to change. With conscious awareness, you can begin interrupting these patterns immediately. Each financial interaction becomes an opportunity to establish new neural pathways and energetic patterns. This represents one of the most powerful leverage points for creating prosperity consciousness, shifting your habitual response to money from fear to faith. If you've recognized these unconscious fear patterns operating in your own relationship with money, type "I'm breaking the fear habit" in the comments. Naming this pattern is the first step toward freedom. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing the true creative force behind financial manifestation: your feelings. While your words matter tremendously, the emotional energy behind those words is what truly activates the law of prosperity. When you touch money with fear, that emotion becomes a declaration of lack and insufficiency far more powerful than any words you might speak. This feeling-based prayer is returned to you multiplied through a precise, universal mechanism. This insight illuminates why so many people live from one financial crisis to another, despite their best efforts to break free. The revelation that transforms everything is understanding that their fear isn't just responding to lack, it's actively creating more of it. This represents one of the most significant breakthroughs in your financial journey. Recognizing that your emotions around money are not passive reactions, but powerful creative forces. Think about the subtle energetic signature you broadcast when handling money. That knot in your stomach when bills arrive isn't just discomfort. It's a powerful creative frequency that instructs the universe to deliver more situations that generate that exact feeling. Your emotional state while handling money becomes the blueprint for your financial future. This hidden mechanism explains why conventional financial strategies often fail to create lasting transformation. Joseph Murphy documented a fascinating case that perfectly illustrates this principle. A woman came to him describing a peculiar pattern. Each payday brought a brief moment of joy that was almost immediately overtaken by overwhelming fear about bills and unexpected expenses. Despite earning a reasonable income, she constantly felt financially insecure and watched her money disappear shortly after receiving it. Murphy helped her recognize a profound truth. She wasn't simply observing her financial reality, she was prophesying it. Through her immediate shift to fear after receiving money, she was essentially naming her income as unfaithful and temporary, causing it to obediently flee from her life. She wasn't experiencing bad luck or poor money management. She was experiencing the perfect manifestation of her own emotional decrees. The pivotal shift in her journey came when she understood that her feelings weren't just responses to her circumstances, they were creating her circumstances. This represents one of the most empowering revelations possible. You're not a victim of your financial situation. You're its author. Every emotion you experience while handling money is a powerful instruction to the universe about what should manifest next in your financial story. What makes this principle so revolutionary is that it places the power of transformation directly in your hands. You don't need to wait for external circumstances to change before you can feel financially secure. You need to change how you feel in order to transform your external circumstances. This reversal of conventional thinking represents the authentic path to prosperity consciousness. If you've noticed yourself feeling immediate anxiety after receiving money, type, "I'm rewriting my financial prophecy" in the comments. Acknowledging this pattern is your first step toward freedom. So what happened next with this woman's financial journey? Joseph Murphy guided her toward a radical shift in consciousness that transformed everything. Instead of continuing her pattern of fear, she began a simple yet powerful practice. Each time she held money, she would affirm with feeling, "I am supplied, this multiplies, I am rich." At first, this declaration felt uncomfortable, even false, almost like wearing clothes that didn't quite fit. This discomfort is actually a pivotal moment in anyone's prosperity breakthrough. It's the resistance that naturally arises when you challenge deeply ingrained patterns. Despite this initial discomfort, she persisted. And here's where the true magic of this practice reveals itself. She didn't need to completely believe these affirmations at first. She simply needed to be consistent with them. The power wasn't in instant belief, but in faithful repetition that gradually reshaped her subconscious expectations. Within weeks, subtle shifts began appearing in her experience. Unexpected refunds, small gifts, new work opportunities. These weren't random coincidences, but the natural manifestation of her shifted consciousness. What makes this transformation so remarkable is that her external circumstances didn't change overnight, but her relationship with those circumstances changed immediately. This internal shift created an entirely new trajectory that eventually reshaped her financial reality. This revelation illuminates one of the most empowering insights on your prosperity journey. Your external circumstances aren't the source of your feelings. Your feelings are the source of your circumstances. This leads us to understand financial fear for what it truly is, a self-fulfilling prophecy that has been answered faithfully by the law of manifestation. The challenging revelation here is recognizing that your financial struggles haven't persisted despite your best efforts. They've persisted because of your emotional blueprint. Your fear hasn't been protecting you from financial disaster. It's been creating the very conditions you've been dreading. The pivotal decision point in your prosperity journey is choosing to replace this habitual fear with a new habit of faith. This isn't about denying current financial realities. It's about refusing to let those realities dictate your emotional state. The breakthrough comes when you begin declaring yourself wealthy, supplied, and free each time you handle money, regardless of what your bank account currently shows. This mindset evolution represents one of the most profound identity shifts possible. You're no longer viewing abundance as something to achieve in the future. You're claiming it as your current reality, despite contrary evidence. This isn't delusional thinking, it's understanding the true sequence of manifestation. Your consciousness always precedes your circumstances, not the other way around. By deliberately cultivating the feeling of abundance now, you're creating the energetic foundation for physical abundance to manifest. If you've been trying to change your financial situation without first changing your emotional relationship with money, type, "I'm shifting my inner state first" in the comments. Recognizing this principle changes everything. Now I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing how you can transform the most ordinary moments of your day into powerful money rituals. Think about it. How many times do you interact with money throughout your day? Paying for coffee, receiving change, checking your balance, handing over cash for lunch, tipping a server. These seemingly mundane transactions aren't just financial exchanges. They're sacred opportunities for transformation when approached with awareness. This revelation completely reframes how you experience everyday life. Suddenly, the checkout line isn't just a place to wait impatiently. It's a spiritual laboratory where you can practice the alchemy of prosperity consciousness. Each time you touch a coin, hold a bill, or swipe a card, you're being given a perfect moment to declare prosperity through deliberate inner speech. This perspective turns ordinary moments into extraordinary opportunities for energetic alignment. The profound shift happens when you recognize that these aren't trivial interactions. They're portals through which you can influence your financial destiny. Behind every seemingly random financial occurrence lies this consistent practice of conscious money interactions. Those who master financial abundance aren't necessarily employing complex strategies. They're simply approaching these everyday moments with a completely different consciousness. When handling money for any purpose, the key is to eliminate negative self-talk and replace it with powerful declarations that align with prosperity. Instead of the unconscious complaints and worries that typically accompany financial transactions, deliberately declare silently, "I am supplied. This multiplies. I am rich." These words might seem simple, but they carry immense creative power precisely because they contain the phrase, "I am," the most potent creative force in the universe. What makes these affirmations so effective is that they're not just positive thinking. They're declarations that align with fundamental spiritual laws. The phrase "I am" carries within it the very name and nature of infinite intelligence. When you attach words like supplied, rich, or free to this powerful phrase, you're not merely describing your current situation, you're invoking a creative principle that must eventually manifest in your experience. This practice represents one of the most practical applications of spiritual wisdom to everyday life. You don't need to meditate for hours or attend expensive retreats to transform your financial reality. You simply need to become conscious of these everyday moments and use them as opportunities for energetic alignment. This approach brings spiritual principles out of the abstract realm and into the concrete world of your daily experiences. The beauty of this practice lies in its simplicity and accessibility. Regardless of your current financial situation, you can begin implementing this ritual immediately. Each financial transaction becomes a chance to rewrite your prosperity, programming at the deepest level. As you consistently replace negative self-talk with powerful declarations, you'll gradually notice shifts in your financial landscape that initially seem coincidental but are actually the natural manifestation of your changed consciousness. If you're beginning to see how these ordinary moments carry extraordinary potential, type "I claim these sacred moments" in the comments. Acknowledging this connection changes everything. Let me share another powerful story from Joseph Murphy's work that illustrates this principle in action. He once counseled a man who experienced intense anger whenever he paid bills. This emotional response wasn't random. It had become a deeply ingrained pattern that was actively shaping his financial reality. Each payment triggered feelings of resentment, accompanied by internal mutterings like, "This will drain me completely," or "There's never enough left over." His bills seemed to multiply endlessly, creating a cycle of frustration that appeared impossible to break. The turning point in his journey came when Murphy showed him how to transform these mundane financial moments into powerful opportunities for consciousness shift. Instead of cursing each payment, he began deliberately blessing it, declaring with feeling, "I am grateful this is paid, and more returns to me multiplied." This wasn't just positive thinking, it was a fundamental recalibration of his energetic relationship with money. The revelation here is how quickly his financial landscape began shifting. Within months, his entire situation transformed. Bills that once seemed overwhelming became manageable. New opportunities for income appeared in unexpected ways. The financial pressure that had defined his life for years began to dissolve. Nothing had changed in his external environment. He simply changed how he engaged energetically with his financial transactions. This transformation illuminates a profound truth about the nature of money itself. Money isn't inherently positive or negative. It's entirely neutral, functioning merely as a shadow that reflects your consciousness back to you. This insight completely reframes how you understand financial energy. Money itself possesses no power to determine your prosperity or lack. It simply responds to the light or fear you project onto it. When you touch money with fear, anxiety, or resentment, it faithfully multiplies those exact qualities in your experience. When you touch it with gratitude, appreciation, and confidence, it multiplies supply with equal precision. Your command, whether conscious or unconscious, determines what form this shadow takes in your reality. This represents one of the most liberating revelations on your prosperity journey. Money isn't your master, it's your mirror. The breakthrough occurs when you realize you aren't at the mercy of financial forces beyond your control. You're actually the commanding force behind those energies. This shift in perspective represents a profound identity transformation from victim to creator. Your declaration when handling money isn't merely descriptive, it's prescriptive, actively shaping what manifests next in your financial story. Behind every financial breakthrough lies this fundamental truth. The energy you bring to your money determines the energy your money brings to your life. This creates an extraordinary opportunity for anyone seeking financial transformation. You can begin reshaping your prosperity consciousness with every transaction, no matter how small. If you've noticed yourself feeling anger or resentment when paying bills, type "I'm blessing my bills now" in the comments. Acknowledging this pattern is your first step toward financial freedom. Now I want to teach you a practical exercise that will begin transforming your financial energy immediately. This simple ritual has helped countless people break free from financial struggle and step into prosperity consciousness. Begin by taking a coin or bill, any denomination will work, and hold it gently in your palm. As you feel its weight and texture, silently affirm with genuine feeling, "I am supplied, this multiplies, I am rich." Allow yourself to really feel the truth of these words, even if your current circumstances seem to contradict them. What makes this practice so powerful is its consistency. Don't reserve this ritual for special occasions or larger sums. Practice it with every financial transaction. No matter how small. Each time you receive change at the store, each time you pay for something, each time you find a penny on the sidewalk, these moments become sacred opportunities to reprogram your prosperity consciousness. Every touch becomes a prayer. Every contact a positive command that ripples through your financial reality. The key insight here is understanding that you're not trying to convince yourself of something untrue. You're actually activating a spiritual principle that's always been operating in your life, though perhaps unconsciously. This practice isn't about denial or positive thinking, it's about aligning with universal laws that govern prosperity. As you consistently declare abundance while touching money, you're creating a powerful energetic blueprint that gradually manifests in your physical experience. This brings us to one of the most profound revelations about the power of your words when handling money. When you touch currency, you're holding far more than paper or metal. You're holding a mirror that perfectly reflects the creative power of your word. The phrase, "I am," that begins these affirmations isn't just a grammatical construction. It contains within it the very name of God, as revealed to Moses at the burning bush. "I am that I am." This spiritual dimension transforms your money affirmations from mere positive thinking into powerful creative declarations. Every time you add words after "I am," whether consciously or unconsciously, you're making a direct command to the creative forces of the universe. When you declare "I am rich" or "I am supplied," you're not describing your current circumstances. You're invoking a divine principle that must eventually manifest in your experience. This revelation illuminates why your habitual "I am" statements carry such tremendous creative power. When you unconsciously mutter "I am broke" or "I am struggling," you're not merely describing your situation. You're actually commanding it into continued existence. Conversely, when you deliberately declare "I am abundant" while touching money, you're initiating a creative sequence that will gradually transform your financial reality. If you're beginning to recognize the sacred power in these two simple words, type "I am abundance" in the comments, claiming this divine principle as your own. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing the true consequences of negative declarations when handling money. This insight illuminates why many people remain trapped in financial struggle despite their best efforts. When you touch money and think thoughts like "I am broke" or "I am poor," you're doing something far more significant than having a negative thought. You're actually clothing the divine name in poverty. This isn't just pessimistic thinking. It's a powerful creative declaration that sets specific energetic patterns in motion. Think about what happens when you wrap a gift. The wrapping paper completely determines the first impression, regardless of what's inside. Similarly, when you wrap the divine "I am" in thoughts of lack, you're sending forth immense creative power clothed in limitation. The universe, operating with mathematical precision, faithfully echoes this back as your physical reality. Your financial circumstances aren't random. They're the perfect reflection of your predominant "I am" declarations. This revelation transforms how you understand the origin of financial difficulties. Behind every persistent struggle lies this hidden mechanism of self-creation. Your words aren't just describing your circumstances, they're creating them. The breakthrough comes when you realize you've been unconsciously commanding lack through these careless declarations, and that you can just as easily command abundance through deliberate ones. Joseph Murphy documented a fascinating case that perfectly illustrates this principle. He encountered a skeptic who initially laughed at the idea that inner speech could influence financial reality. This man dismissed the entire concept as nonsense, insisting that real-world factors like economy and opportunity determined financial success. Yet his life told a different story. He constantly muttered about not having enough money, and indeed, never had enough despite reasonable income. The pivotal moment in his journey occurred when Murphy helped him recognize the direct connection between his habitual complaints and his persistent financial struggles. The man wasn't experiencing bad luck. He was experiencing the perfect manifestation of his own inner dialogue. Once he saw this correlation, he made a decision to change his words. Instead of constantly reinforcing lack, he began declaring abundance each time he handled money. What makes this story so powerful is how quickly his situation began improving. Within days, unexpected opportunities emerged. Small refunds and gifts appeared. Work opportunities increased. The very world that had seemed so resistant to his financial progress suddenly seemed to conspire in his favor. Nothing in his external environment had changed. He had simply stopped issuing negative commands to the universe about his relationship with money. This transformation reveals the authentic path to financial freedom that most conventional advice completely overlooks. The journey doesn't begin with complex strategies or disciplined budgeting. It begins with becoming conscious of these negative declarations and deliberately choosing different ones. This represents one of the most powerful leverage points for creating prosperity consciousness. If you're beginning to see how your words might be creating your financial reality, type "I'm watching my declarations" in the comments. Recognizing this connection is your first step toward transformation. Let me share a profound revelation that completely transforms how you view everyday financial interactions. Each time you handle money, whether it's a crumpled dollar bill or a shiny coin, you're not just touching currency. You're literally holding the name of God in your hand, the creative force of I am made tangible. This insight illuminates why these seemingly ordinary moments carry such extraordinary creative potential. In these brief moments of contact, you face a pivotal choice that shapes your financial destiny. Will you clothe this divine name with thoughts of lack or with declarations of wealth? This decision point represents one of the most consequential crossroads on your prosperity journey. When you wrap the infinite creative power of I am in limitation, you remain bound to financial struggle. When you clothe it in abundance, you set yourself free to experience prosperity. This revelation completely reframes the significance of everyday financial transactions. That simple moment at the checkout counter isn't just a mundane exchange. It's a sacred opportunity to align with abundance at the deepest level. The mindset you bring to these moments determines whether you're programming your consciousness for freedom or limitation. This hidden dimension of wealth consciousness operates beneath the surface of conventional financial wisdom. Now, let's examine something most people never recognize: the accumulated impact of negative money talk over a lifetime. Most individuals have spent decades naming money with words of fear, scorn, and despair, without realizing the creative power behind these statements. Common phrases like, "I can't afford it," or "money never stays with me," aren't just descriptive observations or harmless complaints. They're powerful invocations that multiply lack in your experience with mathematical precision. The breakthrough in your financial journey comes when you recognize that these casual statements carry tremendous creative force. Behind every persistent financial struggle lies this hidden mechanism. You've been faithfully creating lack through your own declarations. The words you've spoken about money, whether aloud or silently, haven't been passive descriptions but active commands to the creative forces of the universe. This insight represents one of the most significant revelations on your path to prosperity consciousness. Your financial difficulties haven't persisted despite your best efforts. They've persisted because of your unconscious commands. The decision to change these declarations isn't just positive thinking. It's a fundamental recalibration of your relationship with the creative principle itself. What makes this understanding so transformative is that it places the power directly in your hands. You don't need to wait for external circumstances to change before you can experience abundance. You simply need to change how you name money in these everyday moments. This shift in perspective represents a profound identity transformation from victim of circumstances to creator of reality. If you're beginning to see how your words about money might be creating your financial reality, type "I hold creative power" in the comments. Acknowledging this connection is your first step toward financial transformation. Now I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing another powerful story from Joseph Murphy's practice. He once counseled a woman who felt constantly crushed by debt. Despite working diligently and trying various financial strategies, her situation never improved. Bills kept mounting, and debt seemed to multiply regardless of her efforts. When Murphy asked her what she said to herself when making payments, her answer revealed everything. She consistently declared, "This will never end. I'll be paying forever." This revelation illuminated the hidden mechanism behind her persistent financial struggles. She wasn't merely describing her situation, she was prophesying her own bondage through these declarations. Every payment became an opportunity not for liberation, but for reinforcing the very limitation she was trying to escape. This pattern created a powerful energy leak in her prosperity consciousness that no amount of hard work or conventional financial planning could overcome. The breakthrough in her journey came when Murphy helped her recognize this pattern and establish a completely different declaration. Instead of reinforcing bondage, she began affirming with every payment, I am free. I am supplied. This multiplies as it leaves me. This fundamental shift in consciousness transformed what had been painful moments into powerful opportunities for liberation. The debts that had seemed so overwhelming began to vanish, not through magical thinking, but through the redirection of creative energy. This transformation illuminates one of the most significant insights about prosperity consciousness. Your declarations aren't just reflections of your reality, they're architects of it. The journey toward financial freedom begins not with external strategies, but with internal alignment. This woman's breakthrough demonstrates that even the most challenging financial situations can shift when you change the underlying energy pattern. One of the most common objections I hear when sharing this principle is, "But these are just casual complaints. They don't really mean anything." This misunderstanding reveals perhaps the greatest obstacle to financial transformation. The critical insight is that your subconscious mind doesn't recognize jokes, sarcasm, or casual comments. It doesn't filter or analyze. It simply receives and executes every word as a command. When you joke about being broke or casually complain about bills, your conscious mind might understand the context, but your subconscious interprets these statements as literal instructions about how money should behave in your life. This revelation transforms how you view everyday conversations about finances. What seemed like harmless venting or social bonding through shared financial struggles is actually a powerful programming mechanism that shapes your prosperity consciousness at the deepest level. This understanding illuminates why guarding your tongue about money is essential for financial prosperity. Every word you speak, whether in jest, frustration, or casual conversation, is being faithfully recorded by your subconscious and translated into corresponding circumstances in your life. This isn't superstition. It's a practical principle that operates with mathematical precision in your financial reality. If you're beginning to recognize how your casual comments might be programming your financial reality, type "I'm guarding my words now" in the comments. Acknowledging this pattern is your first step toward prosperity consciousness. Now I want to share with you one of the most liberating revelations on your prosperity journey. The understanding that facts are not final. Most people bow reverently to financial facts as though they were immutable truths. They look at an empty wallet, a stack of past due bills, or a negative bank balance and accept these as their ultimate reality. This perspective creates a prison of limitation that feels impossible to escape. But here's the transformational insight. These facts are merely shadows of yesterday's imagination. They're not the source, they're the reflection. They're not the cause, they're the effect. When you fully grasp this principle, you experience one of the most profound paradigm shifts possible in your financial consciousness. The facts you see today are simply the manifestation of words you spoke yesterday, either consciously or unconsciously. This revelation completely reframes how you approach challenging financial circumstances. Instead of seeing them as evidence of your limitations, you recognize them as echoes of previous thoughts that can be transformed through new declarations. The breakthrough occurs when you realize that if facts are merely shadows of past thinking, then changing your inner word must inevitably change the facts. It's a spiritual law that operates with mathematical precision. Think about the liberation this perspective offers. You're no longer bound by current circumstances, no matter how challenging they appear. Your financial situation isn't fixed. It's fluid, responsive, and eager to align with your conscious declarations. This mindset evolution represents one of the most significant identity shifts possible, moving from victim of circumstances to creator of reality. This leads us to understand a principle found in Scripture that perfectly illustrates this truth. We walk by faith, not by sight. This isn't religious platitude. It's practical spiritual wisdom for financial transformation. Faith doesn't deny that challenging financial facts appear. It simply denies their authority over you. While acknowledging current circumstances, faith refuses to be defined by them. The practical application is profound. Faith declares, "I am supplied," even when accounts appear empty. Faith affirms, "I am prosperous," despite contrary evidence. Faith refuses to call the shadow master and instead calls forth the unseen abundance that exists in potential before manifesting in physical form. This represents the authentic path to financial liberation that most conventional advice completely overlooks. The journey toward prosperity consciousness requires this fundamental decision. Will you continue letting visible facts dictate your declarations, or will you begin letting your declarations transform the facts? This choice point represents one of the most powerful leverage moments in your financial evolution. When you choose to walk by faith rather than sight, you're aligning with the creative principle that governs prosperity. If you've been allowing visible circumstances to determine your inner state rather than letting your inner state transform your circumstances, type "I choose faith over facts" in the comments. Acknowledging this shift changes everything. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing a critical mistake that prevents most people from experiencing financial breakthrough. Many individuals plant seeds of wealth through positive affirmations at night. They declare prosperity, visualize abundance, and feel momentarily aligned with their desires. But then something devastating happens the very next morning. They look at their unchanged circumstances and declare, "Nothing has changed. It's not working." In that moment, they've literally dug up the seeds they planted the night before. This pattern reveals one of the most significant spiritual principles governing manifestation. Just as a farmer would never plant seeds one day and dig them up the next morning to check if they're growing, we must allow our prosperity declarations time to germinate beneath the surface of visible reality. The transformational insight here is understanding that there's always a gestation period between planting a seed in consciousness and harvesting its physical manifestation. The journey toward financial abundance requires this fundamental shift in perspective, learning to trust the invisible processes happening beneath the surface of material reality. The one who plants in faith and rests in confidence, continuing to water those seeds with consistent declarations regardless of visible evidence, will surely reap abundance. This patient persistence represents one of the most powerful aspects of prosperity consciousness that most conventional financial advice completely overlooks. This revelation illuminates why many sincere attempts at financial manifestation fail to produce results. The seeds were valid, the soil was prepared, but impatience and doubt uprooted the process before completion. The breakthrough comes when you recognize this pattern and make a conscious decision to maintain unwavering faith regardless of temporary appearances. Let me share something even more profound about the manifestation process. You don't actually need to know how your financial desires will manifest in physical reality. This obsession with the how represents one of the greatest obstacles to prosperity consciousness. The only thing you need to know with certainty is that your desires are already accomplished in imagination, and life itself will build what Joseph Murphy called the bridge of incidents to carry you there. This bridge of incidents represents the natural, often unexpected pathway by which your unseen assumption becomes visible. Fact. It's the sequence of seemingly random events, opportunities, and connections that materialize to bring your imagined end into physical reality. The remarkable aspect of this process is that you don't need to design or force this bridge. It forms naturally and perfectly once you've established the end result in consciousness. This principle completely transforms how you approach financial manifestation. Instead of anxiously trying to figure out exactly how money will come to you, you simply Rest in the certainty of the end result while remaining open to infinite possibilities. This mindset shift represents one of the most liberating aspects of prosperity consciousness, releasing the burden of needing to control the exact pathway while maintaining absolute faith in the destination. If you've been obsessing over the how instead of simply trusting the process, type "I trust the bridge will appear" in the comments. Acknowledging this shift is your first step toward effortless manifestation. Now I want to reveal one of the most common obstacles that prevents people from experiencing financial breakthrough. Even when they've begun declaring abundance and practicing positive affirmations, most people immediately sabotage their manifestations with anxiety. They declare prosperity, but then immediately wonder, how will it come? Where will it come from? When will it arrive? This anxious questioning creates a vibrational contradiction that blocks the very abundance they're trying to attract. This insight illuminates why many sincere attempts at financial manifestation seem to stall. The transformational revelation is understanding that the bridge of manifestation doesn't typically reveal itself in advance. It rises naturally under your feet as you walk in faith. This principle operates with such precision that you can observe it across countless success stories. The pathway doesn't appear all at once. It unfolds step by step as you maintain unwavering faith in the end result. Think about the practical implications of this understanding. It means you don't need to orchestrate every detail of your financial breakthrough. You simply need to maintain absolute certainty in the outcome while remaining flexible about the pathway. This mindset shift represents one of the most liberating aspects of prosperity consciousness. Behind every financial miracle is this fundamental truth: the universe has infinite channels through which abundance can flow to you. Let me share a powerful personal testimony from Joseph Murphy that perfectly illustrates this principle. During a time when he was living in New York, he found himself longing to return to his homeland of Barbados. Yet outwardly, there appeared to be no possible way. He had no money for passage, no savings, and no visible means to make such a journey. The circumstances seemed to make his desire impossible. Instead of focusing on these limitations, Murphy decided to apply the very principles he taught. Night after night, he mentally lived in the end result. As he lay in his bed in New York, he would close his eyes and transport himself in imagination to his father's house in Barbados. He didn't just visualize it, he fully embodied the experience, feeling the tropical warmth on his skin, smelling the familiar scents, hearing the voices of his family, touching the furniture in his childhood home. He lived completely from that reality rather than his current circumstances. The remarkable outcome reveals the power of this practice. Within a short time, a letter arrived unexpectedly from his brother containing a steamship ticket to Barbados, sent without Murphy even mentioning his desire to return home. This wasn't coincidence or random luck. It was the perfect manifestation of his assumed end. The bridge of incidents formed naturally and perfectly once the end was firmly established in consciousness. This authentic journey of transformation reveals the hidden mechanism behind manifestation that most conventional wisdom overlooks. Murphy didn't need to figure out how to acquire the money or orchestrate the circumstances. He simply needed to live mentally in the accomplished end, and the perfect bridge appeared without his conscious intervention. If you've been trying to control every aspect of your manifestation instead of simply assuming the end, type "I'm living from the end now" in the comments. Acknowledging this shift can completely transform your manifestation process. Now, I want to address something that inevitably arises on this prosperity journey: the shadow of doubt. After you've begun declaring financial prosperity and practicing positive affirmations, doubt almost always emerges, whispering questions like, "What if nothing happens?" or "Who am I to expect abundance?" This internal resistance can feel overwhelming, as though it has the power to derail your entire manifestation process. But here's the breakthrough revelation that transforms everything. Doubt has absolutely no power of its own. It's merely the echo of old thinking patterns, the residual voice of your previous identity trying to maintain its existence. Understanding this principle completely shifts how you respond to these moments of uncertainty. The doubt isn't revealing truth, it's simply revealing the gap between your old consciousness and your emerging prosperity mindset. The transformative insight is learning how to handle doubt when it arises. Most people make the critical mistake of engaging with doubt, arguing with it, trying to disprove it, or worst of all, surrendering to it. But Joseph Murphy discovered a far more effective approach. Never waste energy wrestling with doubt. Simply replace it with stronger declarations of faith. Each time the voice of doubt rises, immediately counter it with your prosperity affirmation. I am rich. I am supplied. I am free. This practice doesn't deny the existence of doubt. It simply denies doubt any authority over your consciousness. Think of doubt as an unwelcome visitor knocking at your door. You don't need to invite it in for lengthy discussion. Simply acknowledge its presence, then firmly close the door and return to your prosperity mindset. This approach represents one of the most powerful breakthroughs in maintaining consistent manifestation energy. Now I want to share one of Joseph Murphy's most fascinating demonstrations of how imagination creates reality, what he called the ladder experiment. He would challenge skeptical students who doubted the power of inner speech with a simple exercise. For 3 nights before sleep, they were instructed to imagine themselves climbing a ladder. They were to make it vividly real, feeling the rungs beneath their hands, experiencing the sensation of ascending step by step. Here's where it gets interesting. During the day, these same students were told to affirm repeatedly, I will not climb a ladder. I refuse to climb a ladder. This seeming contradiction created the perfect test condition. What would prove stronger, their conscious daytime denials or their imaginal nighttime experiences? The results were consistently remarkable. Within a week, nearly every participant found themselves climbing an actual ladder, often in completely unexpected circumstances. One needed to retrieve something from a high shelf, another had to help a neighbor. Still, another found themselves using a ladder at work when they normally wouldn't. Without exception, physical reality rearranged itself to match their imaginal experience, despite their conscious resistance. This experiment reveals something profound about the creative process. The images impressed upon your subconscious mind during states of relaxation carry far more manifesting power than your conscious thoughts during waking hours. This principle applies directly to financial manifestation as well. If you're experiencing breakthrough moments while reading this, type "The ladder experiment makes sense" in the comments. Acknowledging this connection is the first step toward conscious creation. Now I want to bring these principles into our modern context by sharing some remarkable testimonials from people who have applied this exact practice in their daily lives. These aren't abstract theories or ancient wisdom. They're contemporary proof that money multiplies when named correctly. One woman who had struggled financially for years began blessing her money instead of cursing it. Within 3 months, she received an unexpected tax refund, a forgotten deposit was returned, and she was offered a promotion she hadn't even applied for. Another man incorporated this practice into his daily routine, silently declaring, "This multiplies," whenever handling any currency. He reported that money began flowing to him through channels he could never have anticipated. A distant relative left him a small inheritance, a client doubled their order, and opportunities for additional income suddenly appeared where none had existed before. These aren't isolated incidents. They represent a consistent pattern that emerges whenever someone shifts their inner dialogue about money. What's particularly fascinating about these modern money miracles is their unpredictability. The universe rarely delivers abundance through the channels we expect. This is why focusing on the specific how creates such limitation. When you simply declare abundance and trust the process, the bridge of incidents forms in ways your conscious mind could never have devised. This revelation completely transforms how you approach financial manifestation. The transformation isn't always immediate or dramatic. It often begins with small synchronicities that gradually build momentum. One practitioner noticed that after implementing this ritual, he began finding money in unexpected places: a forgotten $20 in a coat pocket, coins on the sidewalk, small refunds from previous purchases. While the amounts were initially modest, they served as powerful confirmation that the process was working. These small manifestations built his faith, allowing him to expand his consciousness to receive larger sums. These testimonials reveal something profound about the manifestation journey. It's not the size of your initial manifestations that matters, but your recognition of the principle in action. Each small victory builds momentum for greater abundance. Behind every financial breakthrough is this gradual expansion of prosperity. Consciousness through consistent practice. This insight illuminates why some people seem to manifest with such apparent ease. They've mastered the art of celebrating small wins while maintaining focus on the larger vision. Now, let me leave you with the ultimate instruction that synthesizes everything we've explored. Whenever money touches your hand, whether receiving change, paying bills, or counting your savings, do not curse it, sigh over it, or call it by the wrong name. Instead, whisper with feeling, "I am rich, I am supplied, I am free." Say it naturally, as though it were already true, because in the realm of imagination, the causal dimension, it is already accomplished. This declaration isn't wishful thinking or positive affirmation. It's aligning with the fundamental creative principle that governs prosperity. The law is absolutely faithful, and your inner word cannot return void. It must manifest, either as abundance or lack, depending entirely on the quality of your declaration. If you're committed to implementing this practice in your daily financial interactions, type "I declare abundance" with every touch in the comments. This commitment itself becomes a powerful first step toward financial transformation. As we come to the end of our time together today, I hope you're beginning to feel a shift in how you perceive money. Remember, this isn't about magical thinking. It's about aligning with universal principles that have been operating in your life all along. Starting today, pay close attention to those ordinary moments when money passes through your hands. Each transaction becomes a sacred opportunity to declare your prosperity. If this message resonated with you, I'd love for you to be part of our community of conscious creators. Subscribe to the channel so these principles can continue supporting your journey toward financial freedom. The transformation happens gradually as these teachings integrate into your daily life, and I'll be here with you every step of the way. If you've made it this far, you're clearly committed to your prosperity journey. Type "I declare abundance" now in the comments so I know this message reached the right person. Your comment also helps others find this teaching when they're ready for it. If you found value in what we explored today, a simple like tells me these teachings matter to you. Each like helps these principles reach someone else who might be struggling with the same financial patterns you've been working to overcome. I've created a video that takes these prosperity principles even deeper, exploring how to apply them specifically to debt elimination. Click right here and let's continue this journey together. The same principles that multiply abundance can transform your relationship with debt forever. I'll see you there.